The Indiana Fever's championship dream was dead. Their messiah, Caitlin Clark, the player who sold out arenas and single-handedly electrified the sport, was forced to the sidelines by a devastating injury. The entire plan, built around the most hyped rookie in a generation, had been completely shattered. Experts immediately wrote them off. The season was declared a wash. The fairy tale had turned into a full-blown nightmare before it even truly began. But inside that locker room, the story was far from over. What happened when the league's brightest star disappeared would expose the team's true character and unleash a set of heroes no one saw coming. This is the story of how the Fever's greatest disaster became their defining moment. The weight of expectation on Caitlin Clark's shoulders was immense. She wasn't just a rookie, she was a cultural icon, tasked with revitalizing a franchise and carrying a league into a new stratosphere of popularity. She delivered. Her rookie season was everything fans had hoped for: a dazzling display of deep threes, impossible passes, and a competitive fire that was utterly infectious. The connection with Aaliyah Boston was immediate and electric, a pick-and-roll partnership that seemed destined to dominate the WNBA for the next decade. The return to the playoffs in 2024 felt like the first step of a long and glorious journey, but the sophomore season, the one meant to be the true breakout, began with a chilling setback. A nagging injury, initially downplayed, refused to heal. The relentless pace and physicality of the pro game had taken their toll. Clark was forced to the sidelines, and a collective gasp was heard across the basketball world. The engine of the Fever's high-powered offense was gone. The team's entire identity, built around her singular talent, was suddenly thrown into question. For the fans and the front office, it was a disaster. The player who sold the tickets and captivated the world was now watching in street clothes. Many experts wrote them off instantly, predicting a swift collapse and a return to the lottery. The dream, it seemed, was over before it had truly begun. But in the void left by their sideline superstar, something incredible began to stir. With the weight of the season suddenly on their shoulders, Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell didn't just step up, they erupted. This wasn't just about picking up the scoring slack. It was a profound transformation of leadership and will. Aaliyah Boston, already a force in the paint, evolved into the team's primary playmaker. Her court vision, once a secondary skill, became a central weapon. She directed traffic from the high post, finding cutters and orchestrating an offense that many thought would be lost without its floor general. She wasn't just filling a role, she was redefining it, proving she was far more than just a finisher for Clark's dazzling passes. Alongside her, Kelsey Mitchell embraced the moment she had been preparing for her entire career. The veteran scorer became the team's closer, the go-to option in clutch situations, hitting tough shots and carrying the offensive burden with an unshakable confidence. Together, they formed a dynamic 1-2 punch that stunned the league. The pinnacle of this newfound power came in the first round of the 2025 playoffs. Facing the formidable Atlanta Dream, a team they were widely expected to lose to, Boston and Mitchell put on a masterclass. They refused to let their season end, leading the Fever to a shocking upset that sent ripples through the WNBA. It was a victory born of sheer determination, a powerful statement that the Indiana Fever was not just one player, but a team with a deep and resilient heart. The absence of a player like Caitlin Clark doesn't just change a team's output, it fundamentally alters its DNA. The Fever were forced to reinvent themselves on the fly, and in doing so, they discovered a new, grittier identity. Key rotational player Sophie Cunningham provided a fascinating insight into this transformation, telling reporters, "It's a whole different style when Caitlin is out." Without Clark's lightning-fast pace and her tendency to pull up for logo threes, the offense became more methodical. The ball moved through different channels, often initiating with Boston in the post. The pace slowed, but the execution became more deliberate. It was a style built less on overwhelming talent and more on collective effort and strategic precision. This period of adaptation was a crucible for the entire roster. Players who were used to being role players, excelling in the space created by Clark, now had to become creators themselves. They had to learn new reads, new rotations, and a new way of communicating on the court. While every single player and coach eagerly awaited Clark's return, this challenging chapter forced a level of growth that might not have been possible otherwise. It built a deeper, more versatile foundation for the team, fostering a shared sense of offensive responsibility that would prove invaluable. They had learned to win without their best player, and that knowledge was a weapon in itself. A team's character is often most visible during its darkest moments, and the story of the Fever's resilience wasn't confined to the hardwood. It was forged on the bench and cultivated in the locker room. Despite the crushing personal disappointment of her injuries, Caitlin Clark refused to become a ghost. She transformed into the team's most vocal supporter and, in many ways, an auxiliary coach. Her energy from the sidelines was a constant source of fuel. She was the first to leap off the bench to celebrate a big play, the first to offer a word of encouragement after a mistake, and a constant presence in huddles, pointing out defensive assignments and motivating her teammates. Her leadership didn't vanish, it simply changed form. This culture of unwavering support was echoed by the players on the floor. The bond between Clark and Elia Boston remained a powerful symbol of the team's unity. There was no jealousy, no resentment, only a shared commitment to the team's success. Boston's public support for her injured teammate and her seamless assumption of a leadership role demonstrated a level of maturity that permeated the entire organization. In an era where star egos can often fracture a team, the Fever showcased a remarkable togetherness, a genuine camaraderie that became their unshakable foundation through the storm. In the midst of the youth movement and the dramatic rise of its young stars, the steady hand of veteran experience proved to be an essential anchor. Erica Wheeler, a seasoned point guard in her 6th season with the franchise, embodied this calming influence. Her role had naturally shifted with the arrival of a ball-dominant talent like Caitlin Clark, but her professionalism never wavered. When the team needed her most, she was ready. Wheeler provided crucial minutes, bringing a veteran's poise to a backcourt that was under immense pressure. Her ability to manage the game, make the right pass, and avoid costly turnovers was a stabilizing force when things could have easily spiraled out of control. Integrating veteran players into a team built around a new, young core is one of the most delicate challenges in sports. It requires a suppression of ego and a commitment to a bigger picture. While it wasn't always a seamless fit, the shared desperate goal of keeping the season alive helped bridge any potential divides. The veterans understood their role to support the young leaders, to provide wisdom in critical moments, and to ensure that the team never lost its composure, no matter how dire the circumstances appeared. It was this blend of youthful fire and veteran savvy that allowed the Fever to navigate the turbulent waters of the season. Championship cultures are built not just by stars, but by the unsung heroes who do the dirty work, the players whose contributions don't always show up in the box score, but are felt in every possession. For the Indiana Fever, that player was Lexi Hull. She emerged as the undeniable heart and soul of the team, a whirlwind of relentless energy and toughness. Hull became a symbol of the team's fighting spirit, most famously when she played through a painful injury that left her with 2 black eyes, refusing to miss a beat. Her gritty defense, her willingness to dive for loose balls, and her infectious hustle set the tone for the entire team. But the story of the Fever's depth didn't end there. The string of injuries that plagued the roster created opportunities for players who were never supposed to see significant minutes. Mid-season acquisitions, signed to plug holes, were suddenly thrust into crucial roles in a playoff race. These players, fighting for their careers, brought a desperate hunger that proved to be contagious. They played every second like it was their last, providing vital sparks off the bench and proving that a team's strength is often hidden in its depth. It was this collection of grinders and fighters, led by the indomitable spirit of Lexi Hull, that gave the Fever the edge they needed to survive. As the Indiana Fever turn their gaze toward the future, the narrative surrounding them has been irrevocably changed. They are no longer just the exciting team with a superstar rookie. They are a battle-hardened unit, a resilient collective that has been tested by the worst kinds of adversity, and has not only survived but emerged stronger and more unified. The painful and unexpected challenges of the past season have forged a new, unbreakable identity for this franchise, one built on shared sacrifice, versatile leadership, and an unwavering belief in the player standing next to them. The experience gained by Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell as primary options is invaluable. The confidence discovered by the role players who stepped into the spotlight cannot be replicated in practice. Now, imagine a healthy Caitlin Clark returning to this squad, a team that now knows unequivocally that it can win even when everything goes wrong. The fairy tale that was written for them was torn apart, but what they forged in its place is something far more real and far more dangerous to the rest of the league. The journey wasn't the one they planned, but for the Indiana Fever, the destination might just be even more glorious than anyone could have ever imagined.